The U.S. District Attorney's Office is investigating Malik Beasley on allegations of gambling on NBA games and prop bets.
Why would you do that? You know, you're already making a lot of money. Beasley ready to sign a 3-year, $42 million deal.
Check this out. The Minnesota Timberwolves are taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. The Timberwolves are down by 8 with 5 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Nicholas Batum's at the free throw line. He makes a free throw. Malik Beasley grabs the ball, sprints down the court, and goes all the way for an easy slam. This cut the lead from 9 to 7, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are plus 8.5, were able to cover. And now a few years later, the NBA is investigating Malik Beasley for betting. Imagine this, you're about to sign a $42 million contract. You just had the best season of your career. You're the second best three-point shooter in the entire NBA. And then literally hours before free agency begins, your entire world comes crashing down. And this is the story of Malik Beasley and how a federal gambling investigation might have just ended one of the most promising careers in basketball. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to get the latest NBA news to your device. Every like and subscription helps me afford brand new toys and food for my dog Boba, who, if I'm lucky, may play with them. You know you're a brat, but I still love you. Don't give me that look. He's still looking at me, isn't he? Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? All right, let's start with who Malik Beasley really is, because to understand how devastating this fall is, you got to understand how high this man climbed. Malik Beasley wasn't supposed to be here. Drafted 19th overall by the Denver Nuggets in 2016, he spent his first few years buried on the bench, averaging less than 4 points as a rookie. But this dude had something special, way special than his brief entanglement with Larsa Pippen. Beasley had one of the prettiest jump shots you'll ever see, and he slowly proved that to the entire NBA. You fast forward to his 2024-25 season with the Detroit Pistons, and Beasley is putting up video game numbers as one of the most important players on the resurgent Detroit Pistons. We're talking about 16.3 points per game, and he made 319 three-pointers this past season, and it would have been good enough to be the most in the NBA until his former teammate Anthony Edwards made it a point to pass him in the final game of the season. That's not just good, that's historic. Beasley became only the third player ever to make 300 plus threes while shooting over 40% from deep. The Pistons made their first playoff appearance since 2019, and Beasley was a huge reason why. He even told the Pistons GM at the deadline, "Please don't trade me, I want to be here." And Detroit wanted him too. They were literally in the middle of negotiating a 3-year $42 million extension. And then on Sunday, everything changed. Shams Charania dropped a bomb that sent shockwaves through the NBA. The FBI, yeah, the actual FBI has been investigating Malik Beasley for gambling on NBA games for the past 18 months. And not just any gambling, we're talking about betting on games and player props, including potentially his own. And here's where it gets crazy. On January 31st, 2024, the Milwaukee Bucks took on the Portland Trail Blazers. The odds on Malik Beasley recording fewer than 2.5 rebounds went from plus 120 to minus 250. That's an insane line movement. Someone was betting heavy that Beasley wouldn't get 3 rebounds. Beasley would finish with 6 rebounds that night. The bets lost, but the damage was done. Now, to understand why this is such a big deal, we gotta talk about the ghost that haunts every NBA gambling scandal, and we're gonna start with Tim Donaghy. Back in 2007, the NBA's worst nightmare came true. Donaghy, a 13-year veteran referee, was caught betting on games he officiated, and we're not talking about small money here. Investigators found that he made between $30,000 to $200,000 betting on NBA games for over 4 seasons, and the way he did it was genius and terrifying. He used insider knowledge, which refs hated which players, who was secretly injured, who was hungover, which coaches would go ballistic and get technicals. Statistical analysis later showed that in games that Donaghy refed, 57% went over the expected point totals compared to just 44% normally. Those are just 1 in 1,000 odds. Donaghy would go to federal prison for 15 months, but more importantly, it shattered the NBA's credibility. Every bad call, every weird weird game. Fans wondered if it was fixed. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks just won the Cooper Flag lottery just a few months after trading Luka Doncic, and everybody thinks that was rigged. But if you think Donaghy's the only comparison here, let me introduce you to Jontay Porter, the case that's probably keeping Malik Beasley up at night. Jontay Porter was Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, barely getting minutes for the Toronto Raptors, but in 2024, he got caught in the most brazen gambling scheme imaginable. On March 20th, 2024, someone placed an $80,000 bet that Porter would underperform in points, rebounds, and assists. And if Porter played badly enough, that bet would pay out $1.1 million. 3 minutes into the game, Porter claimed he felt sick and left. The bet would have won, except sportsbooks caught on and voided it. The investigation revealed that Porter was in massive gambling debt and was being threatened by his co-conspirators. He was sharing inside information, manipulating his own performance, and even betting against his own team using other people's accounts. The result? A lifetime ban from the NBA, federal wire fraud charges, and he's currently facing 3 to 4 years in prison, with sentencing coming this December. So where does Beasley's case fall? Well, here's what we currently know. The investigation has been going on for 18 months, led by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York, the same office that took down Jontay Porter. They're investigating wire fraud, which, as legal expert Wade Fink explained, is the federal government's hook to lots of underlying crimes. The FBI is looking at Beasley's entire 2023-24 season with Milwaukee. Multiple sportsbooks detected unusual betting patterns starting in January of 2024. And we're not talking about one weird bet here. This was systematic. Beasley's attorney, Steve Haney, is trying his best to defend him. He keeps emphasizing that an investigation is not a charge, and that Beasley has not been charged with anything. He also said that anytime you've got a gambling investigation, it is not isolated to one person. It usually involves more than one, which means we have a much bigger problem. This gambling investigation is bigger than just Malik Beasley. The timing of this news breaking couldn't have been worse, because unlike Jontay Porter, Malik Beasley was set to make tens of millions of dollars. Remember that $42 million contract extension with Detroit? It's completely dead now. The Pistons immediately pivoted, and now they're chasing Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Karis LeVert instead. Think about that. Beasley went from negotiating a $14 million per year deal to being completely untouchable in the last 24 hours. And I hate to sound like Malika Andrews here, but unfortunately, this isn't Beasley's first run-in with the law. Back in 2020, Beasley pulled a gun on a family that was touring a house in his neighborhood, and he would plead guilty to felony threats of violence, served 78 days in jail, and got suspended 12 games by the NBA. At the time, people gave him a second chance, and I think that was wonderful. He was young, he made a mistake, he served his time, but now this gambling investigation is strike 2, and in the NBA's eyes, it might be strike 3. The NBA doesn't mess when it comes to gambling. Let's talk about numbers, because this is what makes this so tragic. Beasley has made about $60 million in his career, which is not bad, but he was about to cash in big time. Coming off of a season where he was second in the NBA and made threes, shot 41.6% from deep, and played all 82 games, Beasley was looking at potentially his last big contract. At 28 years old, this $42 million deal would have set him up for life. Instead, even if he's clear of all charges, and that's a big if, his reputation is destroyed. Teams are going to look at him and see the previous gun charges, the federal gambling investigation, and determine that he might be too much of a risk for a role player. One anonymous analyst told Deadspin that unfortunately, Malik Beasley's career might be over. But here's what really keeps Adam Silver up at night. Beasley isn't some end of the bench scrub like Jontay Porter. This is a legitimate NBA starter, one of the best shooters in the NBA. And the NBA had gone all in on gambling sponsorships, and frankly, that makes me sick. Not now! But we're talking about deals with MGM Resorts, FanDuel, DraftKings, billions of dollars in revenue. They've got betting kiosks in arenas, official betting partners, the whole 9 yards, and frankly, I'm gonna be honest, that's the main reason I take gaming sponsorships. It's literally everywhere. But what happens when the players start betting too? What happens when the line between partner and participant gets blurred? Terry Rozier is also under investigation for a game in March of 2023 where he mysteriously left after 9 minutes with a foot injury and never played right again that season. The betting patterns on his props were suspicious as hell. That's at least 3 NBA players, Porter, Rozier, and now Beasley, caught up in federal gambling investigations in the last 2 years. How many more are there? Let me break down what Beasley's actually facing here. Wire fraud isn't some minor charge. It can carry up to 20 years in federal prison. Now, he probably won't get that much time if he's convicted because Jontay Porter's looking at 3 to 4 years, and his case involved actively manipulating games. But any prison time ends your NBA career, period. The investigation has been already going on for 18 months. Federal cases like this, with search warrants and witness interviews, they can take years to resolve. Wade Fink, a defense attorney, said it best. It is not unusual for a federal investigation, especially ones that involve search warrants, subpoenas, and witness interviews, to take years. So even if Beasley is innocent, he might be in limbo for the next 2 to 3 years. What team is going to sign him with that hanging over his head? Look, I know it's easy to pile on Malik Beasley right now, but it's important to remember that he has not been charged with anything yet. His attorney keeps emphasizing the presumption of innocence, and he's right. But here's what kills me about this situation. Beasley had everything going for him, and it truly kills me when I watch a story like this, because this is a sad rise and fall. He'd overcome being a bench player, survived the gun charges, Larsa Pippen, bounced around 5 teams in 4 years, and finally found a home in Detroit, contributing to a playoff team. He was beloved by the fans, respected by teammates, and about to secure generational wealth for his family. And now, even if he's cleared, the damage is done. The timing of this investigation going public right before free agency feels especially cruel. So what is going to happen to Malik Beasley? Well, there are 3 scenarios here. There's the best case, likely case, and the worst case. Best case is obvious. The investigation clears him, no charges are filed, he signs somewhere for way less money, but rebuilds his career again. Think what happened to Kobe Bryant after Colorado. His reputation's damaged, but not destroyed. The likely case is the investigation drags on. He sits out for the 2025-26 season, and even if he's cleared, he struggles to find a team willing to take the PR hit. The worst case is he gets charged, convicted, and banned for life like Jontay Porter. Federal prison time, career over, and legacy destroyed. And the NBA is really serious about this because this is bigger than just Malik Beasley. This is about the integrity of the game we love. When players start betting on games, their own stats, what are we even watching anymore? The NBA wanted that gambling money, and now they're dealing with the consequences. You can't have sportsbooks as official partners and then act surprised when players want a piece of the action. No, not now! Cut in a Prize Picks ad and then have me cut it off, or the Prize Picks card again. Malik Beasley might be done. His career, which peaked with 319 3-pointers last season, might not end with a missed shot or an injury, but with a federal investigation. And the saddest part is, we might not ever know the truth. These investigations take years, deals get made behind closed doors, and sometimes people plead guilty just to make it go away. At the end of the day, it's always sad to see a guy that could have changed his life for the better have that all taken away just because of a stupid decision he made. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, another player that just ruined his life, Wander Franco. We have a completely separate video on that on our baseball channel, Uni Diamond Talk. I'm going to leave it in the end screen to meet you guys there. We also have a video on the Los Angeles Lakers brand new rookie in the end screen if you guys want to continue binge watching basketball news. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.